Hello there, a little tip for you. Get used to what the notes in a particular scale are. And when I say that, what I mean is, or what I don't mean, is just learning the ladder names. Obviously you want to know what the note names are physically, because otherwise you're not at the stage yet where you want to be. That is like one of the first things you want to know, the note geography, what note goes where. But what I'm talking about is how each note relates to its place in the scale. So for example, bear in mind that scales and key signatures are obviously related. You know, if you have the scale of A major, then the key of A major has all the same rules. Of course it does. I mean, it sounds like an obvious thing to say, but people often forget that when they're starting out. So yes, get that into your mind, and then think about, let's say, A major, for example. Well, we know what A major scale is, right? That's that. That is A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Right, easy. Okay, what we need to know about it is that's the A major scale. And if I said to you, what's the second and fourth note of that scale? If you can't do that straight away, then or without thinking about it, then you're kind of missing a trick, because the second and fourth note of that scale are really, really strong notes to use when you're improvising, or when you're learning, or when you're composing, or anything really. Because they, for example, are your suspended notes. You know, your suspended second, if you're making a chord out of it, your suspended second would be your B, your second note, obviously. And your suspended fourth would be the D. So if you're doing an A major chord, there's an A major triad, you'd replace the third with a second, a B, or you'd replace it with the fourth, a D, to create respectively a suspended second or a suspended fourth chord. But I can hear you thinking, what's that got to do with anything? You know, why don't I just learn the suspended second, suspended fourth chord? Well, you could absolutely do that, but you'd be there all day trying to memorize all these chords, and there's nothing like putting it into practice straight away. So if I'm just making something up in the key of A major, and I'm just doing this, and these are just arpeggiated chords based around A and E. So I'm not doing any note yet that's outside of that chord. But what I do know is my B and D are suspended, which means that in terms of proper music theory, I'd want to resolve them. So if I then went to put in a B on the A, I'd know that I want to resolve it like that. Similarly, if I wanted to put a D on the A, I'd need to resolve that. Now obviously this is the 21st century, you know, the rules of music have I don't know if they've even necessarily been rewritten. I mean, they're just not necessarily set in stone like they used to be. You know, you can definitely finish a song and just leave it hanging on a suspended chord, and nobody will bat an eyelid. It'll be just the most wonderful thing anybody's ever heard. But it's just about those little things, about knowing things like that, that really, really do help. Do really sort of help you to feel your way around when you're improvising, and then when you're composing as well and songwriting. It just sort of makes things much more logical. It's like doing a jigsaw puzzle without having a clue what the picture is, or indeed just doing a blank jigsaw puzzle, versus doing a jigsaw puzzle with a really clear picture, knowing exactly what goes where, and you know, it really is the difference. So that's an example anyway, you know, the second and the fourth. But really think about the notes as they make up the scale and use them to your advantage. From a learning point of view, you know, if improvisation and composition isn't really your thing, then you can still use them when you're learning pieces of music, because you'll get to know how they sound, and you'll get to know how they look on music, and also you'll be able to start to use them to memorize. So if somebody has that chord in a piece of music, then you'll be able to go, oh, I can remember now that is this chord, or that is this note, because it makes this kind of an effect. So it just makes the whole music learning process a whole lot more rational.